Hello everyone, I'm Natsu. First things first, I'm sorry for the quality of this video. I'm not a YouTuber, and I don't aspire to be one. This video is basically just meant to explain the project. Sorry for AI voiceover, but I'm risking to wake up my child and starting Third World War. Until recently, I was solo developing an RPG template for Unreal Engine 5, based on the gameplay ability system, with the goal of creating a scalable system for titles inspired by Piranha Bytes games, such as the Gothic and Risen series. I'm an Unreal Engine developer who worked on some titles that may or may not be released by the time you're watching this video. Because of that, I won't pinpoint exact projects, but I can show a brief set of examples of mechanics and systems I was responsible for. Over the past 6 months, I built a version of the RPG template that is architected well enough to give it a specific development direction. And as it happens, as a big Risen fan, I'm not satisfied with the series' conclusion. After Gothic 3, Piranha Bytes started creating a new series. Because they no longer own the rights to the Gothic franchise, they created something strongly inspired by its predecessor. Some people say Piranha Bytes can't make a different kind of game. Others say they just wanted to stay afloat for as long as possible using one replicated invention. In my personal opinion, with all due respect, if Bjorn Pankratz offered to make you a sandwich instead of a game, some fans would still say it's not Gothic anymore. And that's simply because mourning the series' downfall was more important than reality. And why am I even saying this now? The title of this chapter is Why Risen, not Why Not Gothic, right? The thing is, as much as you might want to say the Gothic series is incomplete, that statement is hardly true. Buggy and unfinished as it was, mostly because it was pushed to release too early, Gothic 3 is a story conclusion. In contrast, the Risen series has this. I understand that opinions differ, so I'll elaborate for those who think video footage alone isn't enough. The world is still facing the Titan crisis, and the old continent is completely destroyed by Ursagor. Risen 3 offers no real conclusion other than defeating one balding Titan lord and sailing away from the island. We don't even know if people managed to build more settlements in Arborea. We don't know if the mages managed to improve their magic reactor to help other factions. Does it even work? Because the last time I saw it, it was used to summon yet another Titan. And yeah, I know Horus was meddling with it and all, but that's basically all we know about it so far. We know that Ursagor won the battle with Ismail, but nothing else. We don't know what the nameless hero was even looking for in Calidor. The state of the world in Gothic 3 after the story ends differs depending on player choices, but there is still a future to it. In Risen, there just isn't. No single personal story is finished. Well, it could be if you say that doing some quests related to those characters is enough. But I say it isn't, because from a logical point of view, it really isn't. It yearns for a conclusion. Every damn thing in this series is abandoned like an unwanted puppy. Every single character that fans developed some kind of relationship with over 7 years of this series' life just stopped mattering. We've been Pankratzed and Alexed at the same time. No single video, short film, comic book, anything. Just buy a new IP with technological improvements to the not nameless hero and a relationship meter. Like I said, the story yearns for a conclusion. And since Piranha Bytes was recently closed and a new studio, Alchemia Interactive, is creating the Gothic remake, the possibility of finishing this series by anyone other than fans is closer to zero than ever before. The original Genome engine, created and developed by Piranha Bytes, is their own closed system, inaccessible to people outside the studio. And even in 2014, when Risen 3 was released, the engine was already left so far behind by the competition that catching up would have been nearly impossible. Becoming a leading technology on the same level as Red Engine, Unreal Engine 4, Anvil, or Frostbite was completely out of the question. But if the people from Piranha Bytes who you should respect with all your might for staying so long in the industry with an old janky engine had access to modern technologies that are constantly upgraded by their users, the story could have been very different. When I say I'm basing this template on the gameplay ability system, I'm really pointing out that we're using a beast. Gameplay ability system, GAS for short, is a system developed for large multiplayer games like Paragon or Fortnite. It's architected so well and is so flexible that any custom-made system, like the ones created for Gothic and Risen, isn't even comparable in scope. This beast can sometimes be as overwhelming as Unreal Engine itself, but it gives you everything you will ever need to develop an RPG. Of course, it still needs to be customized for your goals, but that part is largely already done in the current state of the project. For this project, everything we use is connected to GAS. The dialogue system inherits attributes and abilities. This allows us to check whether we meet certain requirements, for example, intimidation to get different responses from NPCs or to unlock specific quests based on our ability to do so. Classes have different sets of abilities, and combat differs significantly because of that. World traversal also differs based on faction choice. Mages can levitate across a chasm, guardians use telekinesis on a lever, and purists have no other choice than to look for another way. Specific abilities can only be acquired from guild trainers, and the usefulness of GAS goes far beyond that. Let me explain how you make a game without it. You need to create a combat system and define states for it: when you can attack, when you can move, when you can block, when you can scratch balls, and so on. Then you need an attribute system. Attributes are just values, so you create classes to calculate them. How damage reduces health based on armor, resistances, damage types, how to calculate elemental damage, how buffs and debuffs work, how to block effects, how to stack effects, whether you should stack them at all, whether you can activate a spell based on mana value, how long cooldowns should be. It sounds simple, but it takes time to create, make foolproof, enhance, and connect everything together. It's time-consuming. GAS already has all of that. You just customize it and focus on designing content. It's a beautiful, scalable system where you can actually design things instead of inventing the foundation first. Customization still takes time for specific needs, sure, but it's still much easier at this point. And there's even more to handle if you use your own engine. You need to train people to use it because it's your architecture and it's not public. People need time to learn it while you're still building the game, and there's a deadline ahead. Game development isn't easy, and game developers have to keep learning their entire lives. I also want to point out that you should respect Piranha Bytes even if their inventions weren't top class. They made 8 games using 2 engines they built themselves, as a small German studio of around 30 to 40 people, and not all of them were programmers. Hold yourself back when it comes to disrespecting people like that. There are many more systems Unreal Engine offers as a publicly accessible engine, and we'll try to use as many of Unreal's powerful tools as possible: mocap, blueprints, sequencer, gameplay tags, and of course metahumans. On one Russian portal, someone commented that they don't like how Patty looks. Well, Patty's outfit is custom-made, so you'll have to do some work to change that. The rest, on the other hand, can be modified by pretty much anyone. Patty is a metahuman, so her look can be adjusted directly in the editor. But to do that, you need to help us. The MetaHuman plugin for Unreal Engine 5 is not an AI slop generator. It's an advanced tool built to create highly detailed humanoid characters quickly and efficiently for movies and games. For example, Loon from Expedition 33 is a metahuman, just like the other human characters in that game. Their clothing is custom-made just like Patty's. Since the start of my work on the RPG template, the goal has been to make everything as accessible as possible for game designers. That's why the dialogue system already supports different choices based on attributes, quests, gameplay tags, world events, and so on. These are archetypes, ready to use even if you don't know blueprints. The same goes for interaction objects, pickups, paths, quests, the combat system, smart objects, NPC, AI, montages, and more. If you just want to make dialogues, you select an animation montage, the dialogue audio, and write the text directly in the editor, no scripting or declarations required. MetaHuman Performance allows you to generate facial animations based on audio or mocap. Technologies like Quick Magic allow you to do mocap without a suit, and Cascadeur is also an easy option for creating animations. The quest system is node-based, allowing non-linear quest lines that change based on world events. Level design in Unreal Engine is a completely different beast, allowing you to create good-looking levels quickly and efficiently using existing marketplace assets. And this is yet another chapter of this video. Many people think that everything in this project is made from marketplace assets. That isn't true. Some things, like trees, rocks, and buildings, are assets from Fab, the Unreal Engine marketplace, which I already bought and own. Reinventing the wheel isn't really an optimal solution for a nonprofit fan game without millions of dollars to fund 3D artists. There are drawbacks to this approach, because custom-made assets and a world with a consistent art style like in the Gothic remake look better visually. But it costs a lot, and like I said, we have to make choices. On the other hand, outfits, animals, weapons, parts of animations, and creatures like this ogre are all custom-made only for this project. They are sculpted, rigged, optimized, textured, and animated only for us. As I said, I don't have millions of dollars in funding, and I don't need to fund a nonprofit fan game out of my own pocket with money I'll never get back. But I do have a budget, a fairly large one, that allows me to hire people for these specific types of work. I'm not a hired professional game developer, but I am a skilled one, and the part about not being professional only means that I chose not to be. It's simply not economically wise to make games for a living when you can earn really good money and treat it as a hobby. And this project is kind of me giving something back to the community. Many portals tried to farm views with headlines like, "One dev is making Ryzen 4 for free," which completely messed up the message of the original Gothic Up article. As much as I tried to optimize and simplify everything, there is still the issue of realistic time scope, and as a solo developer, I'm not a jack of all trades. I have diagnosed and confirmed my inability to create stories, art, and visually appealing levels. Many people have far more talent and knowledge to create beautiful, lively worlds or captivating stories with plot twists. Some people can imagine how events will play out and how characters will react. Everyone, to be honest, has special abilities. For many, it's finding the cheapest pork chops in the nearest Biedronka or drinking 18 beers in one sitting without blacking out. But if you're skilled in anything related to stories, world building, level design, or even something as simple as knowing what makes games fun, I need you. If you want to help with this project but don't have much experience and never touched Unreal Engine, please don't be shy. These systems aren't that hard to use, and I can guide you through them. If you're a 3D artist and want to help, contact me. Not everything can be bought from Fab. And if you work at THQ Nordic or Alchemia Interactive, please consider that we want to make this series feel complete. This is a nonprofit project whose only goal is to create something from fans to fans. It doesn't compete with official titles and doesn't generate any income. It's more about giving something back, keeping the series alive, than trying to steal anything from you. Happy New Year, everyone. Please contact me on Discord, Natsu2281,